The unspent spark of semen retention is one of the most misunderstood yet powerful practices a man can undertake, and its effects ripple through every aspect of life in ways both subtle and profound. At first glance, most people think it's simply about abstinence or withholding, but the truth is much richer. It is about the conscious redirection of one's most vital life force into channels of strength, creativity, and presence. Semen is not just fluid. It carries the potential of life itself. And to expend it carelessly is to pour out the very essence of energy that could be fueling your mind, body, and spirit. When you practice retention, you begin to notice how your body changes, your posture grows taller, your breathing deeper, your movements slower but more deliberate. Energy that once leaked out as restlessness or fatigue now grounds itself in your nervous system, giving you composure. Your voice resonates with a deeper timbre, your eyes shine with focus, and your aura seems to thicken with intensity. Women and men alike sense something different in you, a magnetic charge that cannot be faked. In ancient cultures, this was understood and honored. Warriors, monks, and scholars often guarded their seed, believing it preserved vitality and sharpened intellect. Modern science, while still exploring the full depth of this phenomenon, confirms that abstinence leads to higher testosterone levels, improved concentration, and heightened motivation. Yet what makes retention remarkable is not simply physical. It is the transformation of identity. You stop being a man blown by every impulse, and you become a man who commands his impulses. You become sovereign over yourself. And that sovereignty is broadcast through your body language, your decisions, and your silent presence. To bring this alive, imagine a man named Arjun who lived most of his 20s chasing temporary pleasures. Nights were wasted in front of glowing screens. Days were spent lethargic. And his relationships crumbled because women could sense his lack of grounded energy. His shoulders slouched, his eyes darted nervously, and his words carried little weight. Then came the turning point when he stumbled across the idea of semen retention. At first, he scoffed, but desperation made him try. Within weeks of practicing, he noticed subtle shifts. His morning energy surged, his workouts felt stronger, and he no longer struggled to maintain eye contact. Months into the journey, his colleagues began asking, "What had changed? Did you start a new diet? Did you hit the gym more? Why do you seem so calm?" Women who once overlooked him began initiating conversations, drawn to his steadiness. The key was not that Arjun had forced a performance. His unspent spark naturally reshaped his aura. He had more energy to pour into work projects, art, and even learning new skills. Instead of shrinking into the background, he began standing taller, not just physically but energetically. The beauty of retention is that it turns wasted desire into fuel. Arjun, who once stumbled through his days, now walked with intention, and every step he took carried the silent message of a man in command of himself. But retention is not merely about attracting women or commanding respect. It is about unlocking the creative and spiritual potential buried under layers of wasted energy. In the modern world, men often complain of lacking purpose, struggling with depression, or feeling lost in endless distractions. Much of this comes from an unconscious draining of their core energy. The brain and the reproductive system are deeply linked. When energy is preserved, it naturally raises to the higher centers of thought, giving you clarity and drive. Countless artists, inventors, and leaders throughout history have credited periods of abstinence with bursts of inspiration. Think of Nikola Tesla, who believed his celibacy was tied to his genius. Or ancient yogis who taught that transmuting sexual energy awakens the kundalini and expands consciousness. Retention, when practiced with mindfulness, transforms frustration into focus. Instead of fighting urges, you channel them into writing, building, leading, and creating. This is why many men on retention suddenly feel an urge to start businesses, dive into fitness, or pursue art forms they once ignored. Their nervous system is no longer dulled. It is charged, alive, and seeking expression. Women notice this too, because creativity and ambition are markers of vitality. The masculine archetype that retention nurtures is not one of repression but of mastery. A man who can hold fire in his hands without being burned. Who can harness desire without being enslaved by it. That kind of man stands out in a generation addicted to instant gratification. And it is precisely why semen retention feels like holding an unspent spark, a fire waiting to ignite new worlds. Ultimately, the practice of semen retention is not about denial, but about elevation. It is the art of recognizing that your seed is not just biological matter, but condensed life energy, capable of birthing ideas, movements, and transformations when conserved and directed. This does not mean you must live as a monk forever. Instead, it means you learn to wield your energy wisely, to choose when to release and when to retain, to balance desire with discipline. The unspent spark becomes a reservoir of confidence, creativity, and calm power. Imagine entering a room and saying nothing, yet people feel your presence. Imagine waking each morning not drained but charged with vigor. Imagine relationships where you are not needy or grasping but abundant, overflowing with energy to give. This is what retention cultivates: a man who radiates authority without arrogance, passion without chaos, strength without violence. And in the silence of your body language, women sense it, men respect it, and the world responds to it. The unspent spark is not a superstition. It is a living force, a reminder that discipline is freedom, and that by guarding the most vital part of yourself, you unlock the best version of yourself. Retention is not an end in itself. Fit is the beginning of mastery, the path to becoming a man whose spark lights the way, not only for himself, but for everyone who crosses his path. Before we conclude, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and forget to drop your location in the comments. I love to know where you're rewatching from. And if you ever have any questions, join our Telegram channel where we interact directly and help each other grow. The link is in the description.